there's a daily balance that every Christian has to go through. The daily balance has to do with being a child of God and being a mature man or woman of God. So it's a balance between security and striving. It's a balance between safety and growth. So your safety is your identity in God as a child of God. It's your position in God's family. It's never going to change. When you make a mistake, you don't lose your status as a child of God. You're safe. There's a second stage, the growth, your growth, which is your identity as a man or woman of God. Because you're safe, you have now the freedom to try, to fail, and to stretch yourself without the fear of being rejected. You're already in the family, so you are allowed to make mistakes. And there are many trials that traits that men and women of God have to have. 1 Timothy 3 and Titus 2 talk about this. So a man has to be self-controlled, peacemaker, respectable, hospitable, provider and protector. And then a woman of God has to be dignified, wise, and instructable, control of her speech, and an anchor for hope. Now, what we also have to understand is that every single Christian was adopted by God, and Christians are adopted children of God. It says that in Romans 8 verse 15. It says, "For you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the spirit of adoption, by whom we cry out, Abba, Father." So in the Old Covenant, we were basically as slaves, fearing the master, right? But in the New Covenant, we are now adopted children of God, and therefore we're also heirs of the same kingdom Christ inherited when he ascended in the flesh into heaven. And this standing is given by grace. What Christ inherited by his own nature, we receive as a gift. So our adoption is a fact of our baptism. And it rests in us to receive the love of this adoption by continuing in faith and turning constantly toward God. So this is again a process. This is what we're understanding behind the meaning of man or woman of God. And so we have to constantly turn to God, and the experience of this adoption allows us to address God with the intimate term Abba, which means Father. We have to understand that our identity relies on us being children of God, and then in this process we become man and